Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So first of all, thank you so much for interviewing me. And Bismillah. So I was born in Tanzania, in East Africa, in a city called Dar es Salaam. And when I was very young, I think about a year or 2 years old, we moved to Saudi Arabia. My father got a job in Saudi, so we moved to Saudi Arabia, and that's where I spent most of my childhood. I went to a local Arabic school there, and then later on, closer to high school, switched to a British school. And yeah, the kind of early years were a typical expat lifestyle in Jeddah. Speaking, with working with, again, this is like 90s in Saudi. So things were a bit closed, a little bit, alhamdulillah, it was close-knit family. My brother, my sister, of course, my parents. And then at 18, that's when I got a university acceptance in UK, and I moved to the UK and studied in Bristol University with all my bachelor's and master's in area of finance, investment, and economics, basically. It was a quote unquote nothing strong. There's no like strong religious upbringing in the early out. It wasn't like kind of forced to tahfidh or anything like that. But of course, growing up in Saudi did help. We had the Arabic school had like at that time they had like 5 subjects which relate to religion. There was Quran, Hadith, and tahfidh. So school environment helped as well. And it was like a normal, nothing strong that stands out and specific. It was done at an early age. But I would say there were 2 events that perhaps maybe, or 2 periods of my time where I had a bit of a spiritual awakening, so to speak. The one was in my teenage years when I was in my high school. So my high school was a British school, and it was a secular school, one of the international schools. And during that time, one of my Greek friends wanted to become Muslim, and kind of the whole experience of trying to tell somebody about your faith, something I've never had experience before. And then when he took Shahada, kind of like going the process of teaching him the religion. So I actually went with him to a kind of like an Islamic Dawah center where essentially we both studied religion for the first time. But, I was like coming because we were going to the basics, like basics of, why we worship and how we worship. And so that was really beautiful. Like, again, going that experience with my friend who became Muslim. That was the first kind of plant seeded there for a kind of spiritual awakening. The second thing, on the same time, I started getting involved with the same center that I was learning Islam from, where they had a mailroom where they were receiving letters around the world of people wanting to learn more about Islam. And my role was to respond back to them in writing, in good old post sort of written mail. So I spent a whole summer just, reading all these letters from around the world, mostly from prisons, honestly. People want to learn about Islam. They want a copy of the Quran. They want a copy of, they want a prayer facility, prayer rug. And we used to kind of send supplies, and that was kind of my job. And that was the first time kind of this idea of the Ummah was instilled in me, and kind of this idea of connecting with people globally. And till today, I'm still writing, right? I'm still kind of the idea of writing and for the Ummah, so to speak. So those 2 experiences really were formative for me during that kind of teenage years, and kind of planted the seed of me wanting to do something for the Ummah and recognizing the gift we have of Islam. And then, of course, when I went to university, that kind of took a whole different level, because I was in the UK. I was involved with the Islamic Society at the university level. And that just kind of opened up a whole floodgate of experiences where I'm passionately sort of serving the community, doing something on man, that kind of like, and that bug, I guess, never left from that day, basically. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so again, I was one of those, I had no idea coming to high schools, not knowing what to choose for university. Had a great economics teacher, and I thought, economics sounds like fun. I'll just do economics. Right? It seemed like a easy option that seemed like keep my options open at that time. So I decided to do economics for university, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll be an accountant. Maybe Islamic banking was a thing, so I thought maybe I'll get into Islamic banking. So I did that for my bachelor's, and then my master's degree, kind of doubled down finance investment. And by the time I got to my master's degree, I was pretty clear that I want to get into the Islamic finance industry. And then a few things that maybe kind of realized perhaps not what I want to do. One is recognize Islamic finance is actually a lot of it's actually legal work, and you really have to understand contracts and how contracts are structured. So it's a lot more legal work than finance investment sort of accounting work. And that was like realized, oops, I kind of took the wrong wrong study there. And secondly, again, I was starting to work on Productive Muslim. I started as a blog, theproductivemuslim.com, and I became, while I was in university, and I was really fascinated with this idea of human performance psychology. And I was like, oh man, I wish I can go back and take human psychology instead. But at that time, it was too late. My parents already invested a lot of money into my bachelor's and master's. They're not going to do another degree. So I kind of was like, okay, well, maybe I'll learn this later on. But actually did, after 1 year of graduating, I graduated in 2008, which was basically the financial crisis that happened. So all the jobs in this industry, in the finance investment industry, were pretty much gone. But alhamdulillah, by 2009, I actually did get a job back in Saudi Arabia with the Islamic Development Bank, one of the sort of large multinational Islamic institutions that they don't work with individuals, they work with governments essentially, almost like the World Bank, but from the Muslim countries. So that was kind of my taste, and I spent like 6 years in that institution. That was my taste into Islamic banking, Islamic finance, at least at almost like a governmental level. But throughout those 6 years, I was kind of quietly building productivemuslim.com, and it became a thing where by 2015 I had to make a decision whether I want to continue into this field of Islamic finance or quit my job and kind of go full in with Productive Muslim. And by 2015, a lot of things had to work out. I got a leave without pay from my job, which is great because after 5 years of service, you can take a leave without pay to pursue further education. So I thought, well, this is a good time. So I took that leave without pay. And my wife, she's from the US and got a green card as well. Maybe I moved to the US and kind of do this from the US. At the time, a lot of institutions were appearing in Riyadh, like Bayina and Qalam, and a few other these institutions started to pop up as well. So maybe I'll go to kind of start off here where things seem to be happening. And Barakah Muslim itself was growing. There's people signing for courses and coaching. My book was about to come out in 2016, so I thought it was a great time. And alhamdulillah, kind of made that leap, and it's been almost 10 years now, and I look back, alhamdulillah. I think I call scratch your own itch, so to speak, right? Because I was struggling with productivity myself, and I was really keen to know how do I manage my time? How do I manage my focus? How do I stay productive? How do I fulfill my potential? Like all these questions as a young, college student trying to figure out. And the bigger question is, how does faith help me do this? Because I firmly believe Islam is the solution. It has the answers to our life problems and life challenges. And I was like, well, I really want to know, how does Islam help us become more productive? And I think that question, that curiosity led me to learning and reading and writing and interviewing and just kind of developing a body of knowledge that over time turned into training programs and coaching programs and retreats and so on and so forth. So I think it was, again, sometimes we tend to think in buckets of degrees and our university background and what we do. But what I learned is sometimes scratching your own itch, being curious, learning from others. And I'm still learning. I haven't figured it out. I'm still learning. And then finding ways to turn that learning into potentially a business or potentially something that you, even if at least a serious hobby for sure, has helped. And alhamdulillah, it became something that over years, by Allah's permission, Tawfiq, kind of became kind of one of the largest faith-based training companies out there, focused on helping Muslims connect spirituality to productivity and performance, basically. I think it's the people that I'm serving right now. Again, I feel like I've built a beautiful community over the years that has helped make a big difference. The community, people coming together. Again, when I first started, again, Productive Muslim was, if you can think about it, back then, 2007, it seemed like a silly idea. Like, who would, was this a blog, right? But now, alhamdulillah, it's an established company with employees and staff and clientele. And I think sometimes at that time when I started off, I think the people have helped me fuel the sort of keep going were the readers and the students and the coaching clients who kept benefiting and said, hey, this is really changing my life and I really appreciate it. You should keep going. So I think that would be the first and foremost, has been huge. Second, of course, my wife. I think, kudos to her, like for me to leave my comfortable corporate job that was well paying, that had all these benefits, and take a risk and start from scratch. That support I would not have been able to do without her support and her family support as well. Like, man, even in-laws and everyone else kind of saying, "Whoa, what are you doing? You're quitting a job, right?" This is huge. So I think getting that support from the family, both my parents as well as her parents and the family, has been huge as well. And then, of course, my team. I think, again, after a few years of doing things on my own, I started hiring a team, and just, again, having a very inspiring team that works so hard to continue offer our services and continue market our products and continue develop high quality stuff, has been really helpful. So I think those three for sure keeps my toes. And in the end, I was, I know if I use the success a few times, I don't see myself successful because we don't know. Obviously, I was successful only know when we get on Day of Judgment. If we're sincere, if Allah accepts, then that's true success. If we're not sincere, then all of this might be just a waste. So, we'll never know for sure. But that also keeps me going. The idea that I'm here to serve, I'm here to offer what Allah has taught me to others in a meaningful way, and ask Allah for acceptance, inshallah, and just to stay sincere. And also the dua Allah uses, don't replace us, basically, inshallah. Yeah, I guess a number of them. One is when I first started, again, I started a blog 2007, and then I had it for 2 months and I shut the website down. It was like a stupid idea. Who's going to even read this stuff, right? So there's that self-doubt. And for 6 months, I took it, I was not there. And then after 6 months, like a 10-year-old boy emails me and goes, hey, how come you shut the website down? It's such a nice website. I learned a lot. And I'm like, finally, a 10-year-old boy kind of helped me re-inspire me to start again. So that was one. So many times, of course, we've tried, once launching programs that failed flat. I remember once I had this webinar, and I was like so excited for, and I was preparing for it, and literally I think 2 people showed up for that webinar. it's like, and I was like, standing like, thank you for the global audience that joined us, and like, nobody's here. So you can just imagine how embarrassing that was. Now, alhamdulillah, we have hundreds of people join our webinars, but 2 people showed up. So there's that. So many times, there are some products we developed. Like recently, I was telling my team, I wrote a children's book. Now, alhamdulillah, after 2 books that have done well, the Barakah Muslim and the Barakah Effect, which are for adults, I thought, let me try the children's book. I mean, I wrote for my own kids, to be honest, but I thought, they would do really well, but it fell flat. Right? It's like didn't do that well compared to my adult books, and I was like, okay, alhamdulillah, like, guess it's not for me. But stuff like that, where you kind of learn by doing. And one thing that's also helped me is to kind of adopt a gardener mindset, meaning that I plant the seeds, I work hard, but I detach from the results. I don't, whether a book becomes a bestseller or does not sell, whether a program hits, has 50 people sign up or 1 person sign up, detach from results. You set the intentions, you work hard, you let go of the results. And that has helped me to always keep going and not get bogged down by the ups and downs. And again, I'll also say that I'm again deeply grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for just enabling me to continue this field, right? Because it could have stopped years ago. Every time I felt like I should stop doing this, should get a real job, right? This is not for me. And every time I've thought of that, every time I've considered that, something else would pop up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send me like either a beautiful testimonial from somebody, or a contract would open up that I didn't expect before. So it's been such an honor, and being grateful to be in this field. And I pray that I continue till I drop dead, essentially, and not let go, because it's an honor to be in the service of the Ummah, and kind of this being your full time. I know it's very rare, and it's something that I pray I keep going, inshallah. This field, this world it's an endurance game. I remember there's a lot of people who started around the same time I started, and they're not there anymore in this industry, because it's an endurance game. It's like you show up, and again, by Allah's tawfiq and permission, that I'm still in this field, but kind of showing every day, writing every day, sharing stuff, developing products, developing courses, running course, like just showing up and doing the work you have to do without being attached. Otherwise, if you get, it's not about one hit wonders. I was always thought it'd be one launch that will kind of solve everything, or one launch that will be like the answer. It's not. It's like almost like a accumulation of things you do over time, which is honestly more consistent, more sustainable. Because if we had like a one hit wonder product or course or something like that, I probably would not have reached. I would probably do that and then kind of burn out quickly. Versus this sustained, continuous, long term effort, which I think is more natural and more sustainable, and hopefully, inshallah, more meaningful as well. Versus, you know, some of the crazy, we hear crazy launches and courses and people like trying to like hit a six figure within a few weeks and then burn out, and versus something much more long term. I think it comes down to this idea of identity. Who are you, right? If I identify myself as, I use the term abd of Allah, slave of God. I use the word slave meaning, purposefully here. I know it's a strong word. People don't like the word slave for a servant or something softer, but I feel in the Quran the word abd is used. Abd means slave, and slave means I'm owned by my master, and it's an honorable English to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the fact that Allah owns me and I am His slave. So the identity, when it comes within you, then, well, my master wants me to show up at this time. Sorry, I don't care who you are, but I need to go pray because my master's calling me. Like, only the identity becomes so important. So I think sometimes we've forgotten the identity. We've made work our primary identity, or our social status our primary identity. But like, who are you at your core? And if you really own up to that identity, I'm a abd of Allah, I'm a slave of God. And therefore, from the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep, I'm always conscious, what does my master want from me? And I think that then answers the second question about how do you balance your spirituality, religiosity, and work or dunya. It doesn't feel like there's two different things. It feels like it's one thing. Like the whole day essentially becomes an act of worship, because you wake up, first thing you do not check your phone. First thing you do, you get up and pray to show that, oh Allah, that you're my most number one concern. Not what's on my phone, not who messaged me last night, but worship. You get up, you pray, you do adhkar, you do the Quran, you go to work, and you go to work with that idea of tawakkul. And this is again one of the benefits of running a business. You tend to learn more about tawakkul, about trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have no idea what my next, where or how my next paycheck will come from, because you're running a business. It depends. Sometimes you get clients, sometimes there's no clients, but there is this unpredictability, which is beautiful because you kind of makes you reliant on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not reliant on the salary or reliant on people. So you go out your day, you are kind of seeking Allah's bounty. You start your day with Bismillah, you set your intentions for the day. So again, it becomes worship. During a mid-morning break, you have coffee, you pray duha, right? You can take a break, you pray istikhara for a decision you have to make. So you're asking Allah, oh Allah, I'm struggling with this decision, help me. So you pray istikhara there. Yeah, then you go about doing your day, you take a nap, right? And that sometimes following the prophetic routine, take a nap so you can boost yourself. And then you pray dhuhr. And your prayer time becomes part of your kind of like who you are, right? And you kind of involve with that. So it's when that identity comes first, then you align yourself completely to the schedule Allah chooses for. Like at each moment in time, you're asking, what does Allah want from me now? What do I want for myself? Let's say you had plans for the day, and then you hear there's a funeral in your community, or somebody's sick, and it's very tempting to go, oh no, I'm do my own thing, versus there's an invitation to get rewards to visit the sick or attend a funeral, for example. So that's what I mean by your identity should be, I'm a slave of God, and you align yourself your whole day. Then the whole day becomes an act of worship. Even your sleep, your food, your playing with your kids becomes an act of worship, as you are fulfilling those roles with the perspective that you are a slave of God. Now, the challenge of modern life, and I talk about the hustle culture, is where those meanings are kind of put aside, or you're told that, well, these Islamic stuff or these rituals, they're nice privately, and it should not disturb your economic output. And time is money, and therefore taking 10 minutes to go pray is less money, and taking time to attend a funeral makes no sense. Calling your mom, no time for that. So that's the challenge. I think it really unfortunately removes the soul from the human being, and that's been our challenge now. We teach a model of productivity that is faith-based, that is God-centered, that's not ego-centered. And yes, it does go against corporate environments, but I always tell corporations when I do corporate training that, you know, would you rather have a high performer who is balanced across the roles, or somebody who, yeah, may be great at your work, but they'll burn out within a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a couple of years because you've not allowed them to, refuel their soul, not allowed to refuel their physical health, their relationships. Like, what would you rather have? So I think there's, and again, now the narrative has shifted a lot. People are realizing people's well-being and mental well-being, but still a lot of it is done in the name of, okay, we'll give you a mindfulness practice so that you can work more, versus really helping people center themselves, my identity as Abd of Allah. And then, yes, I do my best at work, but work is not religion. Work is not my God. I have a higher, I have a higher power that I report to, and corporations don't like that. It feels like it goes against their interest, but that's what Islam came to do, to take us away from slavery to other people to slavery to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the price we pay. So I think it is, and alhamdulillah, I've never, when I work with individuals or groups and they've kind of took on this identity, I don't know anyone who's kind of lost out. Maybe they might have a difficult conversation with their manager, but every single person who kind of made that decision that I'm an abd of Allah first, and therefore I'll prioritize God first in all my dealings, have always come back and said this was the best decision, and I have no regrets about what the ramifications of that decision. Alhamdulillah. I'd say the first tip is definitely understand who you are, right? Once you know who you are, like we said, everything falls into place, right? You'll prioritize your prayers, you'll prioritize relationships, you'll prioritize what's important, meaningful. That's the first step for sure. Like really understand who you are, and let's not put on these masks that take away our purpose in life. So once you know who you are, it becomes easier. The second thing to kind of get you into that zone as well is to always set intentions, not goals. People think about goals all the time, right? On a goal, run a marathon, goal, start a business, goal, I don't know, X, Y, and Z. But goals are the what. The question is, what's the why, the intention? And the more the intention is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more you'll experience that balance and barakah in your life. So for example, let's say you want a goal, you want to run a marathon. Okay, well, what's the intention? Well, my intention is to become healthy. My intention is to become fit. My intention is that this body, I want to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this body, the best ability. And the goal, the marathon, is simply a means. Now, maybe there's another goal that fulfills the same intention. Maybe I don't have to run a marathon. Maybe there's other ways I can fulfill this intention. So setting intentions, and think about intentions. And I always recommend people set weekly intentions and daily intentions. So at the beginning of each week, so what's my intentions for this week? And it does not mean only work related. It could be my intentions this week spiritually. I need to intend to read more Quran, to pray more with focus. My intention physically, I want to run and do some strength training and build this muscles. My intention socially, I want to, really become more present with my kids instead of being on my phone too long. Call my relatives who I haven't spoken for a long time. So set intentions across different roles. And the beautiful thing about our faiths, we get rewarded for those intentions. You're already successful by setting intentions. That's the second thing. And the third thing is to, again, for me, I feel that 5 daily prayers, we take them for granted, but I find these are the most powerful resets we have in our life. They're 5 daily sort of resets for our heart, for our mind, for our body, for our everything. And I feel like invest time to go deep in your salah. Sadly, we rush through our salah. Sadly, we kind of don't give it its proper space and time. And we think it's a distraction or it's a to-do or a chore. And sometimes we neglect them completely or delay them completely. But if you make it a point, again, as an abd of Allah, as a slave of God, to really make the most of these 5 daily prayers, I think a lot of things will fall into place. Your spiritual health, your mental health, your physical health, a lot of things fall into place by just establishing that beautiful, strong relationship with salah, and not being like this last thing you quickly get done. So I think those are kind of my kind of 3, I call them spiritual productivity tips. that inshallah ta'ala will have a knock-on effect on other areas of your life, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah, I think general life advice, I guess, for everyone, I think something I've learned all the time is, I say, have sincere intentions and work hard. That's kind of like the advice I always pass on, like have sincere intentions and work hard. And I think that really summarizes everything we do. If you're sincere for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you work hard and you put in the effort, detach from results, you'll see, you shall experience barakah in your life in ways you expect and don't expect. So I think that's the advice. And also, I think to get off this ego-centered approach to life, right? What's in it for me, right? What people think of me, how this make me feel, to a more akhirah-centered approach. What does Allah want from me? How can I fulfill my role in this life across all my roles? I think that moving away from that very individualistic, very ego-centered approach of living life into a more God-centered community, ummatic way of living can really help shape a lot of our lives, inshallah.